Cath and this is Made by Cath Craft. Thank you very much for joining me for this video. It's really lovely to have you here. And today I'm going to be talking all about what I've been up to over the last week or so on the sewing front. And I often think at this point I'd love to be able to say what I've been up to in my sewing room. But if you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know I don't have my own sewing room. Usually generally sew here on the dining table, which is kind of the centre of our family home. So it's very much get everything out, have a little sew, then pack everything back up again, which I've been doing for quite a few years now and does work, but the idea of a sewing room does sound quite lovely. But anyway, I'm filming this video today on a very grey day here in the south of England. This is that drizzly rain outside at the moment. The sky is overcast. I've got the lights on in here to try and brighten it up a little bit for this video. But yes, a very grey autumnal day here. So a good day to be sitting inside and talking to you all about sewing. So before I get started on sharing what I've been up to over the last week or so, I've got a few different things to share. I'll just mention what I'm wearing today for my handmade wardrobe. And I'm actually wearing quite a few handmade things today. I've got a handmade sweatshirt, a handmade skirt, and also a handmade t-shirt underneath and handmade knickers as well, which I generally do with the handmade knickers. I've got a few pairs of old ready to wear ones still lurking in my drawer that haven't given up the ghost yet, but I'm pretty much converted and I always use the iris knickers pattern by Tilly and the Buttons. I really like that pattern. But yes, I'll talk about the bits you can see as well. So the sweatshirt I'm wearing today is a cropped sweatshirt. And it's one I made a few years ago now and I wear it so much. It's such a useful kind of wardrobe staple. And the pattern is the Nina Lee South Bank sweater pattern. So it's got a slightly dropped shoulder, this sort of stand-up neckline, quite sort of slim-fitting arms with a deep cuff on the end. And yeah, just you can make different versions, including a dress, but mine is the cropped version. And I just find it goes with so many things. And it feels a little bit lighter than a longer sweatshirt, so I quite like it for this weather, where I want to feel a little bit cosy, but it's not super cold yet. And I made it in this lovely fleeceback sweatshirting fabric, which is a quite lightweight fleeceback sweatshirting fabric again, which makes it a really nice layering piece. It's navy with these little flecks in it. And I know Guthrie & Garney stock this fabric in a few colours, so I'll link their website down below. It's their Cozy Colours fleck fleeceback sweatshirting. I don't know that they've got the navy in at the moment, but they do it in a few colours. It's lovely lightweight fleeceback sweatshirting fabric. So that's what I'm wearing on top. Underneath, I've got a little t-shirt with a scoop neck, which I made using the Agnes pattern by Tilly and the Buttons, which is another pattern that I use quite a lot just for basics to kind of layer up. And this one's in this dotty cotton jersey. And then my skirt is another older make, and it's definitely one I tend to reach for at this time of year. And it is a moss skirt pattern by Grainline Studio, which is a really lovely skirt pattern. And yes, this particular version I always get out when the autumn weather starts to set in and it gets a bit chillier. It's made in corduroy, so it's really lovely and cosy. And I'll put a picture up so you can see it with my full outfit. I even had on my cosy winter boots today. It was that sort of weather on the school run this morning. But it's a lovely skirt pattern for kind of like a jeans style skirt. But obviously I made my version in a corduroy, but it's got all the jeans features like a fly front zipper and little front pockets and a yoke at the back. And yes, my version here I made in a slightly longer length, but slightly shortened, but it's got this band at the bottom, which I think is quite a nice feature on it and adds a bit of an extra sort of style detail to it. And yeah, it's just lovely for this time of year and goes with quite a lot of different tops in my wardrobe. I think the teal colour, I don't have a lot of teal in my wardrobe. I don't know if it's teal or maybe petrol, maybe a slightly darker teal colour. But yeah, I really love that one. So that's what I'm wearing today and I'm feeling nice and cosy. We haven't quite got the heating on yet here, so in the house it's nice to be a little bit wrapped up. But anyway, I'll move on now to talking about what I've been sewing this week. So this week has actually been quite productive and I've made a few garments, a few that are kind of in one particular area and then one other one, but I'll share the one other one first. It was the first thing I finished this week. And I've been making a not totally seasonal dress, although the colour is quite autumnal, but the style is less autumnal. I was talking about it last week. It's a mashup of two different patterns. So the fabric is this ribbed cotton jersey fabric that I got from Moonbow Fabrics. Oh, excuse me, a cat appeared there. I got this fabric from Moonbow Fabrics as an extra when I was ordering some other fabrics. It came in a slightly different colour to what I was expecting. My fault, not the fabric website's fault. It was just me not sort of looking at the colour carefully. Hello. But yes, it was a little bit more of a khaki colour than I was expecting, and it made me rethink my plans for it. And I thought what I'd love to turn it into is a dress, an opportunity to put two patterns together that I've been wanting to put together for a while. And these are the patterns here. The first one is, I'll take out the envelopes, it's easier to see. For the neckline, I wanted to use this pattern here, the Blommer Tank pattern by Paradise Patterns. I've made this as the Blommer Tank, this version here, before, and I wore it a lot in the summer. I really like the style of the neckline. It's got a slight racer back, but subtle, so your bra straps are still hidden. It's just got quite a modern look to it, I think, the whole neckline. And then I really fancied turning it into a dress, so I thought for the bottom, I would use the bottom half of this pattern here, the Nico top and dress pattern by True Bias, which I'd only made as a top before, but it's got this lovely bottom with this side slit to make it a bit more easy to walk in, I guess, in a kind of, I guess it's like a just maxi length, but a slightly shorter maxi length. It's not intended to come right down to the floor at all. So yeah, that was my plan, and it was quite easy actually to merge the two patterns. I just traced out the size I wanted in the top, and then the size I wanted in the bottom. It was quite easy to just join those lines down the side and just put them together. So in terms of sizing, the Blommer Tank comes in a size range of A to L, which takes you from a bust of 30 inches up to 60 inches. And the pattern includes B cup and D cup options. And the D cup option has bust darts, whereas the B cup doesn't. So I went for the B cup option, also in size B, based on my bust measurement. And for my original Blommer Tank I made, I've got loads of wear out of, I actually ended up sizing down quite a bit on my size there because the fabric was super stretchy. So it suited it better, I think, to bring in those side seams quite a bit. But this cotton ribbing fabric, I thought, wasn't quite as stretchy. So I thought I'd start again with my bust measurement. And I thought it'd be quite easy just to bring in those side seams a bit once I sewn the dress up at that stage and could see the whole fit. So I thought I'd go with that measurement and just be prepared to maybe adjust if needed. And then for sizing on the waist and hips, I looked at the True Bias Nico pattern because I'd kind of started with the bust lines on the Blommer Tank, and then I traced the waistline on the Nico pattern. And I actually went for a straight size 4 on the waist and hips. My measurements would actually put me as a size 0 on the waist and a size 4 on the hips. But I wasn't sure if I wanted this dress to be super tight fitting. I thought maybe a slightly looser fit might be nicer. So I thought I'd start with that, and again, it'll be quite easy to adjust at the end if I wanted. So I sewed up the dress based on that. I did make a couple of lengthening adjustments. I added 1 inch to the bodice around the waistline because I do have a longer torso. And I also added 1 inch to the skirt length. And yeah, I just kind of hoped that would work well. So yeah, it sewed up really nicely. The fabric was really nice to sew with. I especially love the finish of the neckband and the armbands on the Blommer Tank. I just find they come together so nicely, the way the pattern adds those, and you get a really lovely finish. And it's just a really nice way to add them. It doesn't feel like one of those patterns where you're kind of trying to stretch the neckband and figure out if it's going to be the right length. It just seems to come together really nicely the way it's done and gives a really nice finish. You sort of top stitch along the top here. So yeah, that was really enjoyable to sew. And then it was my first time sewing the skirt part of the Nico, and I wasn't sure with the stretchy fabric if there was a risk that when you finish these sort of side slits and the bottom, whether it might sort of stretch out. I was a bit worried I might end up with sort of wavy edges and wavy hems, but actually it came together fine. I used a zigzag stitch to stitch on the side slits because I wasn't sure about, I don't know why I didn't use twin needle. I just thought I'd go for a zigzag. I tried it on a scrap and it seemed to work okay. So I went for that, but then I twin needled the bottom because I thought with the rib and the stretch being mostly that way, I thought that's the point where it might be most likely to stretch out. I think that's what I thought. There's not so much of a stretch going this way on the rib, but yeah, this way is a lot more stretch and I was worried about it stretching out. So I used a twin needle and that gave a really nice finish. And I don't think it has resulted in a wavy hem. It may have been very slightly wavy after I'd sewn it, but then a little bit of steam from the iron just gave it a nice finish. So yeah, that came together really nicely. And I'm really pleased how those side slits look. and they do make the dress more comfy to wear as well. So yeah, it was just a really enjoyable and quite quick sew. Once I tried it on, I did think actually I should have gone for my actual waist size on the true bias pattern, because it did feel very straight and it didn't feel like it was coming in at all at the waist, and I felt like I kind of lost my shape a little bit there because it was so straight down the sides. So I did make some adjustments. I basically put the dress on inside out and then kind of pinned where I wanted to take it in, and then sort of drew with a sort of line of chalk down each side, making sure they were fairly even, and then just took them in along those lines just to give a little bit more shape around the middle. And then, yeah, it came together really nicely. It isn't a super fitted dress. It is a little bit more relaxed fit, I guess. I haven't kind of gone for it to be skin tight by any means, but I kind of wanted it to be fairly casual, relaxed feel. So I'll put a picture up of how it turned out. And yeah, I really love it actually. I'm really glad I had a go of merging these two patterns. Oh, I don't think I mentioned the size range on the True Bias pattern, but the True Bias have two size ranges. They have I've got the paper pattern, which goes from a US 0 to 18. And you can also download on the website I think it's a 14 to 30 version too. But yeah, it was really easy to merge the patterns. I love the look of the True Bias dress with the high neckline, but I thought actually for me, in the summer, it's not a neckline I'd go for. Maybe for autumn I could wear it with a cardigan, that'd be quite nice. But I thought this dress would be really nice for summer too. And yeah, I just really like how it's turned out actually. It'll be a really nice, sort of comfy, relaxed one to wear in summer. And I don't often tend to go for this colour. I'm not even sure if it is one of my colours that kind of suits me brilliantly, but I just quite like the kind of whole kind of vibe of it being quite sort of, I don't know, a bit grungy, I don't know. But yeah, just a bit of a different vibe for me, and I thought it'd be great just paired with some flip-flops. Put on and off you go. So yeah, yeah, it was an enjoyable sew, and I'll link this fabric down below if it's still available. But it's a nice cotton rib with a nice stretch, I think perfect for this style of dress. So yeah, that is my first thing I made this week. Well, I started it last week, I finished it this week, but it was fairly speedy to sew, and yeah, and really enjoyed seeing that come together. So yeah, the first thing I wanted to share. Oh, and I nearly forgot to mention how much fabric I ended up using to make that dress. As I mentioned in a previous video, I'm really trying to keep track of how much fabric I buy versus how much fabric I end up using, so that going forward I can avoid over ordering. So I had 2 meters of fabric for that dress, and I ended up using 1.8 meters. So that's quite useful to know if I do want to make another version and I order from a fabric website that sells in 10 centimetre increments, I can get away with ordering a little bit less. So I've jotted that down for the future, which will be useful. So yeah, that's the first thing I wanted to share. And then the second thing I've been sewing this week, which I actually enjoyed more than I was expecting, is some swimwear. So I think I mentioned in last week's video, I'd got some lovely new fabric from Fabric Godmother, a lovely Liberty swim fabric. Here it is. It's very pretty with this ditzy floral on in lots of lovely colours. And yeah, I wanted to make a new swimsuit because when I was on holiday this year, one of my older swimsuits I'd made in a sort of activewear swimwear fabric had started to perish, and I wanted to replace it because it's one I really enjoy wearing. So I got home, ordered this fabric. I knew what I wanted to make, and it was just a simple bikini top and a pair of matching bikini bottoms. And I had my eye on a new pattern I wanted to try, which is the Georgia bikini top pattern by Edgewater Avenue. I'll put a picture up because I don't know where I put the piece of paper I had that shows the line drawings, but this is the Georgia top. I've sewn, I think maybe just one Edgewater Avenue pattern before, but I really enjoyed sewing it, so I was really keen to try another one. So the Georgia top is a fully lined bikini top that has a scoop neck at the front and then a deeper scoop at the back, and has an optional bottom band which you can add on if you wish, or you can leave it off. And the pattern is designed to be reversible too, which is pretty cool. And I should mention at this stage, because I'm not sure I've specifically mentioned it before, in case you're not that familiar with Edgewater Avenue, it's a sewing company that specialises in swimwear sewing patterns. I think that's the only type of pattern that they make. They have loads of different patterns on their website, some really interesting designs. And the whole vibe is just very relaxed and really making swimwear patterns accessible and easy to sew. And they have loads of tutorials on their YouTube channel as well. They have tutorials for particular patterns showing you how to sew them up, which are really helpful, especially if you are a visual learner. but also they have lots of just general tutorials on sewing swimwear and different aspects of sewing swimwear. So it's a great place to start if you're new to sewing swimwear, just to learn a bit about the materials you need, stitches, all sorts of things. I've watched a few of their general tutorials and I found them really helpful, and it's definitely increased my confidence in sewing swimwear, which is an area I have found a bit tricky in the past. So yeah, that is Edgewater Avenue. In terms of sizing, some of their patterns on their website have an extended size range, but unfortunately the Georgia top doesn't. So the size range isn't huge, but when you download the pattern, you do get a double D option built in as well for a fuller bust, which is quite useful to know. But yeah, I was really excited to try my second Edgewater Avenue pattern. The first one I made was the Natalie Bikini, and I just found it came together so nicely. It felt very easy to sew. The finish is great. And I was really hoping to get a good finish on this Georgia top too, because the version I've been aiming to replace, the original version I made that perished this summer, I made starting off by using the Cottesloe Bikini top pattern by Megan Nielsen, but I kind of went off on a tangent a little bit and kind of ended up bodging it to get what I wanted, and the finish wasn't beautiful. Even though I was happy with the overall top, I knew there was definitely room for improvement. So I thought by using the Georgia top, hopefully I would get a better finish and a really nice practical top that's just very wearable if I'm in the pool with my children, got nice coverage, feels quite secure, but also feels nice to wear too. So that was my plan. So this week, what I decided to start with was to make a wearable toile using some old fabric that I had left over. It's actually this fabric here, and it's a swim and activewear fabric. And I bought quite a lot of it a few years ago when it was on a really good deal, and I thought it would be great for toiles or swimwear to check the fit. And because generally I find with swimwear the pattern pieces are quite small, I've just kind of used it very gradually, and I've still got some left. So yeah, it's really handy to have it in the drawer to be able to get out if I want to check a new pattern. So yes, this is my first version toile to check the fit of the Georgia top. And I found it did come together really nicely. I had a look at the YouTube tutorial as well as the written instructions. And yeah, it was really enjoyable to sew actually, which I haven't always in the past said about swimwear. I decided not to make mine reversible. I went for the version with the bottom band on, and the pattern takes you through how you can add the bottom band so that the top is reversible. But I thought with my version, I knew I didn't want to make it reversible. I was going to use the same fabric on each side and just have one side as the outer fabric and not need to switch it around. So when I attached the bottom band, I just attached it by popping the two fabrics together and sewing on, so you will see the seam on the inside. But as I said, that didn't bother me because I wasn't aiming for a reversible top. So that's the only change I made. But other than that, I followed the pattern and it just sewed up really quickly. I made the size 0 based on my bust measurement, and I found that fitted really nicely in this fabric. So I thought I'll go ahead with that for the main fabric. And yeah, what I found actually is I feel the fit is slightly better on this than actually my old bikini top that I've had to throw away now it's perished. Well, actually I haven't thrown it away yet because I kind of wanted to compare them once I'd sewn this one up to see how the fit did differ and if I wanted to make any tweaks. But I actually found the Georgia top fitted better, especially around the shoulders, just the way the pattern pieces have been drafted. I found with my old top, sometimes the shoulders would tend to sort of start feeling like they were going to fall off a little bit and fall down, whereas this top felt more secure around there, which is great. So I decided, as I was happy with my toile, that I'd go ahead and cut into my lovely Liberty fabric and get my proper version all sewn up. And again, it came together really quickly and it's all done now. And here it is. So here is my finished Georgia top. And yeah, I really love it. I love this fabric. Again, I just attached the bottom band so you can see the seam on the inside. But as I said, I'm not planning it to be reversible because it's exactly the same on both sides anyway. And yeah, it came together really nicely. I used on my sewing machine a super stretch needle, which I'd seen recommended when I was sort of researching how to get your sewing machine to behave with swimwear, which mine hasn't always behaved well in the past. And I found the super stretch needle worked really well. I didn't get any skipped stitches at all, so that worked really well. And yeah, it came together really nicely. One thing I did find when I tried this top on is it does feel slightly more snug than my original wearable toile version, and I think that's just because the fabric is a bit more firm, just generally. I guess it probably is a slightly higher quality swimwear fabric. It's a proper swimwear fabric. It's got this sort of chlorine resistance, so it hopefully should you know, last well. But it isn't too tight, it just feels a little bit more snug than my original version. I definitely feel nice and secure for, say, if I'm going to go down some rapids with my kids or something, I'll feel nice and yeah, secure in this top. And then while I was enjoying sewing swimwear, I thought, right, let's make the bikini bottoms as well. Then it's all done and dusted and ready for probably next summer, although I might wear it to a pool somewhere here first, or maybe I'll save it for holidays next year, I don't know. But yeah, these are the bottoms I made to go with it. And they're just quite a nice, sort of fairly high-waisted bottom. I quite like that coverage again, with a little band at the top, which is hard to see. You can see that I just add a little band at the top, but I haven't put elastic in the band. The only elastic I should mention, you can add optional elastic in the Georgia top, but I didn't in my first version I made. And I just find actually I kind of prefer it without the elastic. It doesn't feel too tight or too sort of pulled in then. So, and it fits fine, I think, and will hold its shape nicely without elastic. But I do add elastic around the leg holes for the bikini bottoms. And I made these using a bit of a hack of a pattern, the Opian Pilatus swimsuit. The name's the Pilatus swimsuit. The pattern company is Opian. And I'll put a picture up of that swimsuit. But I basically hacked it to just use the bottoms because I really like the fit of the bottoms, and add a little band around the middle to that. And that's the pattern I like to use for my bikini bottoms. So yeah, they came together quite nicely because I've made that pattern a few times before. So I've got a really nice new matching swimwear set, and I'm really looking forward to wearing it. I'll link this fabric down below. Fabric Godmother have a few Liberty swimwear prints. I actually quite fancied originally getting some plain fabric, but they didn't have any plains available, and I really like this fabric, so I'm glad I went for it. I think it's really cute, the ditzy pattern. And yeah, I've got a picture of this, so I'll pop that up so you can see what it looks like on. It's just quite a nice, comfy, easy to wear, practical bikini set, and I feel good in it. I would like to try another Edgewater Avenue pattern at some point in the future, maybe a bit more of one of their fun ones, because they do have a lovely selection of interesting patterns, and this is more of a practical sew, although I think it's made quite pretty with the fabric. But yeah, I'd like to try another pattern. I would really recommend them if you're looking to sew some swimwear. They do make sewing swimwear more fun than I thought it could be. So yeah, I'm really pleased to have sewn those up. And it feels like quite a lot of sewing in a week actually with the dress and these, but they just sewed up pretty quickly really. And because I was enjoying it, I kind of motored through, and having an idea of the fit always helps as well. I feel like I'm then more purposeful about just going for it and not as tentative on my machine. So that is everything that I've been sewing this week. And actually I've had a really fun week of sewing, even if what I've been making isn't totally seasonal. But I do have some more autumnal sewing plans for going forward that I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into, and also to sharing with you all. So yes, definitely more autumnal sewing plans on the horizon. And I hope you've all had a really good week too, and have managed to find some time to sew, or at least to think about sewing and maybe plan for some new projects. Whether it's something for the cooler weather that's coming up here, or whether you're somewhere where it's getting warmer and you've got some lovely summery sewing plans. I think it's always so nice to have a sewing project on the horizon, isn't it? So yes, thank you so much for tuning in. It's been lovely to have a catch up, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. But in the meantime, I hope you have a really good week. So yes, see you soon. Bye.